Hey guys, Mike here, Real Texas Outdoors. I was out here in the shop today making a bunch of these pinfish traps, and I looked at our website and I realized a bunch of the videos and the photos I had on the site were very old, and so I wanted to take a moment, really just take some new pictures and then do a quick walkthrough or of an update, I guess, if you will, of this trap. I want to make sure that what we're building now in 2024 is what you guys are seeing on the website, and when you watch these videos. If you haven't noticed, what I tend to do is when I list a product on the site, I will usually make a video to explain it. That way there's no confusion. And all of that stuff was a little old on this pinfish trap, so I did want to make some updated content. That way it just gives the buyer and gives the customer a good idea of what they're ordering when they order a pinfish trap from us. Now, so again, this is, if you will, this is like our rendition of the pinfish trap. This is like a standard size pinfish trap. I know that if you Google pinfish trap, for example, you can see a lot of different varieties of these things. Everything from like just a box with two little entry points on the side to something that looks very similar to this to all kinds of other stuff. But a pinfish trap typically is about this size. Now this is 24 inches long, it is 14 inches wide this way, and it is 9 inches tall. This is again, standard size pinfish trap. We make larger pinfish traps on the site. We make one that even folds down that's smaller, that collapses down to like 2 inches in height once you're not using it. So regardless of that, this is our rendition of a pinfish trap. Now, before I explain like what's different about this than some of the others on the market, please know that even though I'm calling this a pinfish trap, you can use this trap for literally any type of bait fish. If you wanted to catch brim and sunfish, you can do that. If you wanted to catch like bullheads, or if you wanted to use it for like pollywogs, if you're in the South and that's your style of bait, you can do that. You can even catch crawfish in it. So it's really kind of a versatile trap, and some advantages of it are it's not very big, right? Like even though it's 24 by 14 by 9, it's a trap that you can easily throw in the back of your vehicle. You can put it in your boat. Sometimes it may even fit in one of the console areas of your boat or like in one of the compartments. I mean, it's not a big trap. However, in regard to pinfish, you don't need a big trap to catch a lot of pinfish. Now, if you notice, pinfish can be anywhere from little bitty to this size, maybe a little bigger. You can catch a lot of pinfish in a small trap if you're using the appropriate bait, if you know where you're fishing, if you know that there's pinfish in the area. So again, it's really determined. Like, sorry, it's about to rain. I have some boxes out here and I didn't want them to get rained on. So I'm gonna listen for that for a second. But yeah, let me move those before I get rained on and have to redo everything. All right, sorry about that. So again, big picture, you can catch a lot of fish in a small pinfish trap. You don't have to have a big trap to do so. Big traps can hold more bait, but if you're using it for the day and you're checking it regularly, that's really a non-issue. It really is going to be dependent on if you know what you're doing or you get lucky, right? And so if you know what you're doing, this is a plenty big trap for you to catch a lot of bait. Again, we do sell larger ones. One of the probably the most common one we sell for pinfish is our either either our Z-trap or a cloverleaf baitfish trap that are made out of this black PVC coated wire. And so let me walk through this thing though and give you guys kind of an update on what it is and why I feel like it's different from a few of the others on the market. So first thing first, the wire and really the materials that we construct the trap out of, I feel like are premium and high quality. This wire, you can Google this stuff, not this wire, but you can Google pinfish traps and you'll see a lot of traps that have this coated wire, and they're coated so that the wire itself, the welded wire, is not exposed to the conditions where it rusts out. I know that's common sense. But a lot of times what you want to be careful for, a lot of times these wires are simply dipped into the PVC plastic and they're not actually like glued to it. Like this wire is what we special order it, and it's what they call bonded. So this PVC coating is actually glued to the metal with a different process, and you cannot scrape it off. You can scrape it off, but you have to actually work. And so if you bump it up against something, if you nick it with something, it's not going to come off like some of the other products on the market. It is glued to the welded wire, and it's going to stay there a lot longer. Now, if you get a knife and you were to go after it, you can scrape it off, but it's going to take some effort to do that. This is a really, really high quality wire. We also make ours out of what this wire is 1/2 inch by 1 inch. A lot of the traps on the market are 1 inch by 1 inch, and in my opinion, that's too big for a pinfish trap. I know you can still catch your larger pinfish, but if you're wanting to catch smaller fish, there is a chance that they can squeeze out. With a 1 inch by 1/2 inch, this is kind of a happy medium. We also make some 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch traps, out of this stuff, but 1 inch by ½ inch, it's light enough to be able to carry it around, and you're going to catch bait that you want to fish with. If anything is small enough to get out of that 1 inch by ½ inch rectangle, you're probably not going to want to put it on a hook and fish with it anyway. So additionally, the fasteners we use on this are going to be either aluminum or stainless steel. Like I think I made 4 of these today. These were all stainless steel. Stainless steel is super strong. You're not going to pull it apart. But you can see, even if we use aluminum rings, you can see we put them everywhere. So one of the things our trap has over a lot of traps on the market is that the builder, who is 95% me, is OCD about stuff, and I go overboard with the fasteners. You couldn't pull this apart with your bare hands. You could probably take 2 pairs of pliers and pull it and not even rip it apart. Like this sucker is very, very, very stout. It's not going to be pulled apart. Additionally, this wire is a 16 gauge wire. I'm going back to the wire, 16 gauge wire. And if you look at the entry point on it, we make it 1 inch by 3 inches. That's pretty much a standard all across the United States. If you look at different regulations, a lot of places have a 1 inch by 3 inch opening, and so that's how we make ours. Now, some places may allow a little bit bigger. I've even seen it in some places where they have to be 0.75 by 3 inches, and if that's your location, you can easily take a pair of needle nose pliers and squeeze that down. Literally would take you 5 seconds to fix that. And so, regardless, 1 inch by 3 inch seems to be kind of a standard across the United States. All right, so let me go over I guess some other things here. We also use a marine grade bungee, which is, some traps I've seen them where they'll use the metal clasps on it where they have a spring and they hold very well. Those are fantastic. They look awesome on a trap. The advantage or the disadvantage of those is that eventually that spring is going to wear out, and then you just have an ugly piece of metal hanging there. They also can get hung up in weeds and vegetation and in mud. And when you get mud inside of those springs, they're going to rust out faster. So we use a marine grade bungee. It's going to need to be replaced eventually also, but the advantage of this is that it's going to last a while. It's not going to snag on stuff, so you're less likely to lose your trap. And when you need to replace it, you can just go get some bungee and from Walmart or Amazon and easily replace it. So it's not a piece of metal that's affixed to the trap that's going to be there that you have to cut off. Like this is just when it's wore out, just replace it with more bungee. Not a big deal. All right, so as far as the trap, I'm going to go over the dimensions again. It is 2 feet this way. It is 14 inches this way, and it is 9 inches this way. Again, it's a pretty standard size trap for pinfish. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't need a big trap to catch a lot of pinfish if you know where they are and you know what you're doing. It does come with a 4x4x4 bait box, so the bait box in the center is plenty big, and you can get to it with one hand, which is super nice. You don't have to have 2 hands to operate the trap. You can put plenty of bait in there. With a 4x4 cube, you can do bait bricks, you can do shrimp, fish, whatever you want to do. And if the bait you're using is really small, you can always toss it into, I hope that's not too loud, it's starting to come down outside. If it's really small, you can always toss it into like some pantyhose or like a sock and then toss the sock in there. I don't know if I'd recommend using a sock though for like shrimp, but pantyhose would be fine. You could go buy some cheap pantyhose, stuff it full of shrimp, throw it in there. If you're wanting to use dog food in this, like you're going to use it for perch or sunfish, highly recommend doing something like pantyhose before you just throw it in so that that dog food doesn't fall through. Additionally, when you put bait in these, a lot of times they get nasty, right? And what you don't want to do is pick up the trap after you've had it baited with dog food or something and then lay it down on the deck of your boat or lay it in the back of your vehicle and then it just fall out of the trap and kind of get everywhere. So if you have a bait bag, that's the best way to do it in my opinion, but it's not necessary. We also make a large exit door. So again, you can do it with one hand. And this is a door where you basically catch all your fish, funnel them to one side, and pour it out. So it's really easy to use. Really not a whole lot of explanation needed there. So why I think this trap is a little different from what's on the market is really the way we design it. It's thin, it doesn't take up much space, and you still have deep enough V's to catch traps. I know, again, if you were to Google pinfish trap on the market, you're going to see a lot of different varieties of traps. Some of them, they're highly dependent on you having the right location and the perfect bait because they're just a box trap that have really no funnels on either side. They just have entry points where the fish have to figure out how to get in. With this trap, they still have to figure out how to get in, but they're a lot more likely to figure it out whenever they're swimming around it trying to get to the bait. You can notice it's supposed to sit just like this, with the bait on the bottom. If the fish come here, they cannot access the bait, right? They're going to swim around it until they find a funnel, and they're going to follow that in, and it naturally funnels them in towards the bait. They go in and they're caught. Versus where those box traps, they may have some bait in the center, but they're swimming around, and there may be a little opening, like one on each side, where they have to figure out how to go down and back up into the trap. And again, I've seen pictures and videos where people do very well with those. I don't mean to dog that style of trap, because I know you can catch fish with them. I just feel like for the average person, not even a beginner, but just someone who just wants to catch a lot of bait quickly, you're not really sure where the bait's at, this style of trap works fantastic. I'm not saying that you cannot catch fish in a competitor's trap. Please don't. That's not what you're hearing me say. I'm just saying, in my opinion, having funnels that are real deep is a positive thing on your trap. If you look at some of my other traps, especially like our Z trap or our cloverleaf, our funnels are always very deep because it allows fish to find their way into the trap a lot faster. Imagine if they're just swimming along this side and all there is a little slit in here. They're swimming along trying to find it. They're not going to find it. But if they come around here, it naturally just turns them into the trap, right? So I hope that makes sense. Again, a lot of common sense there. And so as far as I think covering why it's different, it's the materials we use, the stainless steel hog rings or the aluminum. Aluminum are fantastic. It doesn't really matter if we use aluminum or stainless. We put a lot of rings on there. Like I said, even with the softer aluminum, you still are not going to be able to pull this trap apart. It's still going to last forever. Kind of a note here on stainless. I know it's kind of, I won't say a gimmick, but it's appealing to a lot of people. When you see a stainless steel trap or you see stainless steel hog rings, like, yeah, they last longer than galvanized, right? But stainless steel, even in saltwater, has its flaws. There's really, I think, one or two specific types of stainless steel that are great in saltwater. Most stainless steel is, I won't say most, but a lot of it for fishing is 304 stainless, right? I think these are 304 stainless. They're going to hold up well. And these are like 14 gauge, so it's going to take a lot of rusting for one of these to break. But they're going to get coated over time. You're going to see them kind of fade and rust just because they're stainless steel. Now there is, I think it's a 316 stainless, which is really meant for marine grade environments. But that stuff is so expensive that if you were to purchase it and build a whole trap out of it, no one would buy one because, I mean, they're a fish trap, right? You're putting them in the water. You're risking getting them, stolen or lost, things like that. You have to kind of weigh the material with the cost of the product. Like, you could build a trap that would never degrade, but then if someone stole it, it would hurt the pocketbook, right? So going back to what I was saying, these are stainless steel rings. They're going to last. This trap right here is going to probably last, I can't put a year on it. It's going to last a long, long time, many years, especially if the person is taking care of it. And it will probably be stolen. I hope I'm wrong on that or lost before it needs to be replaced. And so these are fantastic traps. They're going to last for a long time. One thing I didn't mention earlier, this wire, again, I said it's 16 gauge. It's welded wire. It's totally coated. The only spots that the wire is going to be exposed to the elements are the cut ends. And so what you'll see over time are these little sides here where we've cut the wire. It's about I would say the center diameter of a toothpick, about that diameter. What you'll see is those little spots will develop rust spots on it, but the rest of the trap is totally coated and protected. And so even though you'll see a little discoloration and some rusting there, the rest of the trap is totally protected. So again, it's going to last for a very, very long time. Customer will be happy with this, catch a lot of fish. All right, that was longer than I wanted it to be. So I hope this explains the trap. Again, you got plenty of space in a small trap to catch the bait that you need to catch if you know what you're doing and you have the appropriate bait. I don't want that to deter you. This is a perfect size trap for a lot of people. You don't have to be, super knowledgeable on catching pinfish. It just helps, right? If you know that there's pinfish in the area and you know what bait to be using, you're going to, just like anything, you're going to increase your odds to catch them. So again, I hope that makes sense. And if you guys have any questions about this style of trap, please don't hesitate to drop a comment below. I'll be happy to answer the questions. You can check us out on the web at www.realtexasoutdoors.com. Again, reel is spelled like fish and reel, just like in the description or the channel title here. And yeah, I think that's it for now. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and God bless.